On everybody, it's Key Time coming back with another one to talk about week 9 of the NFL season. The first team I want to talk about today is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Thursday night, Pittsburgh Steelers won a defensive struggle like I predicted. That game versus the Tennessee Titans, it was going to be a defensive struggle. And I said with Pittsburgh being at home, they would win. So they ended up winning. But as far as the Steelers offense, it's still lackluster. They still have offensive lapses. The third down offense is near the bottom of the league. They need to improve on that and get better with that, or else they're not gonna make the playoffs. Now they have managed in the first 8 games to get to be at 5-3, so I give them credit for that. But it's November, December, and into January, you gonna need an offense. Defense, got no problem. They ended the game on an interception of Will Levis. Will Levis, he had a good game, but it's about the Steelers right now. So this game for the Steelers, it was typical Steelers, typical type of game for the Steelers. So that's all I have on the Steelers. The next team I want to talk about is the next game I want to talk about is the Kansas City Chiefs and Miami Dolphins. Now this game, it should have been played either in Miami or Kansas City. This is the type of game it shouldn't be played overseas. This is the type of game that you need that you need on a Monday night. They should have scheduled this game, the Chiefs versus the Dolphins, for Monday Night Football, because this is the type of game that you need on a prime time television window. But only thing I can say is about Miami, all of their wins have came against teams with subpar 500 records, and their losses have came over teams that are over 500. So the question is, can Miami beat the top-notch teams like Baltimore, Kansas City, Jacksonville, Philadelphia, Dallas, San Francisco? Can they do that? Can they beat them? It remains to be seen. Their next 5 games, the Dolphins' next 5 games are against teams everybody is over 500. So we are going to see, excuse me, the next 3 of their next 5 games are against teams with 500 or better records. So we will see in the next 3 weeks if Miami can win versus the top-notch teams. On the other hand, Kansas City, I expected this. Kansas City's defense, it's legit. They only giving up 18 points a game. The defense is averaging 3.5 sacks a game. They had 3.5 sacks against the Dolphins, and they had 2 turnovers. It's an A+ for the Kansas City defense. For the Kansas City offense, they are still struggling, having lackluster performances. But if it wasn't for the Kansas City defense showing up, playing the way they play, they would have lost. They would have lost that game versus the Dolphins. But one defense came and showed up in the Chiefs, and the Dolphins defense was searching for answers. Now, Tua Tagovailoa, he's still that quarterback. Nothing, nothing, nothing is wagering. Nothing is wavering my take from what I did earlier in the season. He's still a top-notch quarterback, and he's still gonna be a top-notch quarterback. This was just a small bump in the road, but This is an eye opener. Can you beat for the Dolphins? Can you beat the top notch teams? We will see. It remains to be seen. The next game I want to talk about is the Minnesota Vikings versus the Atlanta Falcons. So, Desmond Ritter, he didn't play this game. Taylor Heineke was in. Taylor Heineke, he put up 268 passing yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. But what I want to talk about is Josh Dobbs. Joshua Dobbs, he came from Arizona on Tuesday. Only they said that he only knew about 15 to about 25 plays of the playbook, and you come out there in Atlanta on Sunday and get a win. That's huge props right there, cause that was a quick turnaround for him coming into Minnesota Tuesday, then playing for the Vikings on that Sunday. Hey, so the Vikings, hey, they pushing for a playoff spot. They are at 5-4 right now, and if they keep playing like this, I could see them being a wild card team. But they gotta keep that. But they gotta keep this up. So that's all I have on the Vikings. The next team I want to talk about is the Cleveland Browns. Now the Cleveland Browns, they are in the thick of it in the AFC North. It's them, the Bengals, and the Ravens. Those three teams, it's a three team setup because I don't see nothing. It's a 3-team race for who is going to win that division because I don't see nothing from Pittsburgh. I don't even think with Pittsburgh's offense can Pittsburgh's offense generate points like they need to consistently every game. I'm talking about averaging 20 to 25 points a game because they have the type of defense that that the offense only need to score 25 points. But I'll save that for another day. With the Browns, they played the Cardinals. We all know that the Cardinals is the worst team in the NFL. So Cardinals was starting a rookie quarterback. Don't know if Kyler Murray is going to start this week. He might start this week, depending on if he have any setbacks. Due to not having any setbacks, he'll start. So Cleveland, one thing I could say, Deshaun Watson, he played a perfect game, well, close to perfect. 219 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Amari Cooper, he had five catches, 139 yards, 1 touchdown. The Browns, this was a bounce back game for them because of what they had last week going up into Seattle. So the Browns have had a bounce back game. Next game I want to talk about is the Rams and Packers. Now these two teams, one thing I can say, these two teams, they are bottom of the barrel teams. They are. They not going to the playoffs. Rams are 3-6. Packers are 3-5. Sean McVay and Matt LaFleur need to go back to the drawing board and get ready for 2024 because you are not going to make the playoffs because both offenses are inept. Jordan Love, he's coming along very well, but can he take over a game like he need to take over a game? Matthew Stafford, he over the hill. The Rams ain't going nowhere. The Packers ain't going nowhere. So that's what I take away from that game. The next game I want to talk about is the Commanders and the Patriots. Now we all know the Patriots, hey, they have a struggling offense, the 32nd ranked offense in the league. So this game, hey, I knew the Commanders was going to win this game because they have the better offense And Sam Howell is the quarterback for the Commanders. They just need to keep Sam Howell at that starting position because he threw 325 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Sam Howell is the Commanders guy. Keep him at the starting position, and you may get to the wild card. You may get into the playoffs. But for the Patriots, just get ready for 2024 because you are 2-7. The next 3 games are against teams above 500. So possibly you'll be 2-10 and maybe 2-13 before Christmas come. So that's all I have on the Commanders and Patriots game. The next game I want to talk about is the Chicago Bears and New Orleans Saints. Now, Chicago, another one of those teams that are bottom of the barrel, just like the Rams, Cardinals, Packers are bottom of the barrel teams. So, Bears, they just need to go ahead, get ready for the 2024 draft because you already did this season. It was a lost season in week 3. So that's all I got for the Bears. For the Saints, at 5-4, fighting for a playoff spot. Derek Carr and Michael Thomas, they still trying to learn each other. But when they start to click, I believe that the Saints will go on a winning streak. They will. So the Saints, they are 5-4. They are in second place in the division behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So they have to play Tampa Bay in Tampa later on in the season. So that game is going to have major division championship implications on that game. So that's all I have for the Saints. The next game I want to talk about is the Seattle Seahawks and Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens look like the top team in the AFC. And I'm willing to say right now they are the top team in the AFC. When you beat Detroit by 30 and you beat Seattle by 34 with the type of defense that they have, the defense is only giving up 13.8 points per game. You got Lamar Jackson completing over 67% of his passes, and the offense is averaging 28 points per game. That is a recipe for a championship, and that's where the Ravens are trying to get to this year, is a championship. So 7-2 right now, leading the division, leading the AFC, best record in the AFC, along with the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Ravens, they have started their winning streak, and I believe that this winning streak is going to keep on going. So that's all I have for the Seahawks and Ravens game. The next game I want to talk about is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Houston Texans. Now, there is one guy on the Houston Texans that I gotta give him his props. I do this every week, but he deserves it. C.J. Stroud. 470 yards passing and 5 touchdowns. Let that sink in for a little bit. C.J. Stroud, he is a top-notch quarterback. He is in the running for Rookie of the Year. I'm going to just go ahead and say it. With him And Houston, I said this a few weeks back, Houston is a dark horse team to make the playoffs as a wild card. That's the only thing. That is the only thing that I see with them is being a wild card, because there are so many other superior teams in there, like the team I just said, the Ravens, the Jaguars, the Chiefs, so many other superior teams in the AFC. And I also forgot about the Cincinnati Bengals, but I'll talk to them a little bit later on in the video. But as of right now, Houston, they are on the come up. I like what D'Amico Ryans is doing. He is building that team into a playoff contender. A playoff contender. And as far as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 3-5, so they are in second place. They are on a 3-game losing streak. So the New Orleans Saints, they have a half game lead on the Buccaneers. So if the Saints keep that up, they'll be able to win that division by Christmas. The next game I want to talk about is the Indianapolis Colts and Carolina Panthers. I'm not going to stay too long on this game because the Panthers are one of the worst teams. Like I've been saying, put them in that basket with the Cardinals, Rams, and Packers. So the Colts, they're 4-5, fighting for a playoff spot, but I don't think that the Colts are making the playoffs this year. I sure don't. That coach Shane Steichen, this is a rebuilding year for the Colts, so they're not gonna make the playoffs. So that's all I have for the Colts and Panthers game. The next game I want to talk about is the New York Giants and Las Vegas Raiders. I'm not going to say too much about this game because we all know the Giants are just, they just have a whole lot of injuries. They have a whole rack of injuries on the injury report. The Raiders, did you see the Raiders? We all seen the Raiders after the game. I believe it was just Josh McDaniels that was holding that team back. That's all. It was just Josh McDaniels. See, Josh McDaniels, and for all the other NFL teams in the future, please listen to me. All other 31 NFL team owners, Josh McDaniels, he is a good offensive coordinator. He is not a coach. He's never been a coach. You see what he did in Denver. That was a clown show in Denver. It was a clown show in Vegas. He has had 2 instances where he has took teams and made them worse. They have regressed under Josh McDaniels' leadership. So no team should ever be in talks with Josh McDaniels about hiring him as a head coach. But on the other hand, good win for the Raiders, 4-5. You able to keep your playoff positioning intact. You still fighting for a playoff position. And I think that with where the Raiders are now, I believe that they will make it to the playoffs. But they got a tough road ahead. You got the Chiefs to play. So, hey, you got a couple top-notch teams in the Raiders to play. So, it's going to be tough sledding, but congratulations on the win. The next game I want to talk about is the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, there's a lot to unpack from this game. Had Jalen Hurts injury, had A.J. Brown going off, Devontae Smith going off. DeAndre Swift, the running back, going off, and then you had Dallas, which got in a hole, 11-point hole late in the third quarter, but was able to fight back. But what really hurt the Cowboys are those penalties on those third downs. They had 8 penalties that were accepted on third down, and 4 of them was personal foul penalties. Another one was for unsportsmanlike conduct, and the other 2 were for hands to the face. Now, if you don't have those 8 penalties, you may win this game. You may be in a better position. But since you had those penalties, you put yourself behind the 8 ball. You put your defense behind the 8 ball. You put your offense behind the 8 ball. You have the offensive lineman, Terrence Steele, not following his block, letting Brandon Graham sack Dak Prescott, letting Fletcher Cox get to Dak Prescott. It was mainly that offensive line that was making Dak throw the ball so quickly. And another thing I got to say about Dak, he didn't throw any interceptions this game, which was a huge plus in this game right here. So that's all I have for the Eagles and the Cowboys game. The next game I want to talk about is the Buffalo Bills and Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals, they have won 4 straight games. They are back. The winning streak, they going to keep increasing this winning streak. And the Bengals, they will make the playoffs. They will make the playoffs because Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, and the running back, they are all clicking at the right time. Plus the defense, since this winning streak, they have only given up 17 points per game. They gave up 18 points to the Buffalo Bills, so they was right on track. So only thing, the sky's the limit for the Bengals, Cincinnati Bengals. Now on the Buffalo Bills, on the other hand, Josh Allen, he kind of underperformed this game. He did kind of underperform. And as far as the Buffalo Bills defense, they didn't get timely stops when they needed. Josh Allen, he didn't throw any interceptions. Sorry about that. But as far as getting the ball to his receivers, he had trouble getting the ball to his receivers. So one thing about it, I believe that all of us just need to take a step back and look at what the Buffalo Bills are doing. Because the Buffalo Bills, they're not looking as dominant as past years in 2021 or 2022. And I believe that the Buffalo Bills championship window is closing. You heard me right, America. The Buffalo Bills championship window is closing. I think after this season, they are going to take a step back. And it may not be a huge step, but they are going to take a step back. They probably won't get to the NFC Championship game. They'll probably be knocked out in the wild card round, or they might not even make the playoffs with their record right now at 5-4. They're currently out of the playoff picture. Yeah, they currently out of it. So that's all I have for the Buffalo Bills and Cincinnati Bengals game. The last game I want to talk about is the Los Angeles Chargers and the New York Jets. I am not going to get too much about this game. We've seen what Justin Herbert did. Justin Herbert, he has been up and down throughout his career. He is 29-28 as a career starter. like I said, up and down. So we don't know what we are going to get from him on a consistent basis. Brandon Staley, you already know how I feel about Brandon Staley. He has always been on my chopping block, going for it on fourth down when he doesn't need to. Now, this game he didn't go for it on fourth down. But as far as the Chargers, they played a great game on both sides of the football. Now, as far as the Jets concerned, Zach Wilson made it hard to watch the Jets last night. He really did, only throwing for 263 yards. You know it's bad when your fan base, it was a lot of people in that stadium that had frowns on their faces, that were sad, that didn't know what the Jets were going to do. Even on that fourth down, when they got it, I was surprised that they got it. But with the type of offense that is installed for Zach Wilson, it's almost like a high school playbook. You can only give Zach Wilson about, and this is no disrespect to Zach Wilson, you can only give Zach Wilson about 20 to about 25 plays a game, and the defense, they have to keep it close. They cannot let what happened last night dictate what will happen in future games. And what I mean by that is, for the Jets, you can't allow a punt return. You cannot allow a kickoff return, and you cannot allow the Jets defense. You cannot allow a 14-play drive to result in 7 points, which the defense during that drive was on the field for 6 minutes. You cannot have that if you are the Jets. You have got to play an extremely clean game. You almost have to be perfect. The defense almost have to be perfect out there, or else the Jets, they will keep on losing. Now the Jets, they are in the thick of the playoff race. Do I think that they will stay there? It's hard to tell right now, but it remains to be seen. But we will learn about the Jets. Robert Saleh, he is in between a rock and a hard place. He is, because you have a quarterback in Zach Wilson that he almost looked like he's in a pedestrian offense. It was those easy throws last night that he was missing, and it kind of makes it hard to watch a Jets NFL game with Zach Wilson missing those easy throws. So the Jets, after this game, they have tough sledding ahead. They really do. It's not looking too good for the road ahead. So that's all I have on the Chargers versus Jets game. And that's all I have for week 9 of the NFL season. And those are my reactions for week 9 of the NFL season. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and remember, the key is always on time.